Last year, here in the sands of Valkenswaard, the MXGP World Championship was blown wide open. It was here, in this exact hole, where Tony Cairoli saw his dominance in the sand break down, along with the front wheel of his Red Bull KTM. It was on the pit straight where he frantically signalled to his crew that something was horribly wrong with his bike as the pack closed in. And it was here where Paulin pounced. With a win in his pocket, the Frenchman was on course to make a huge upset in race 2. But in the blink of an eye, it was over. Paulin was out for 3 months, while Cairoli went on to win the Moto, the GP, and ultimately the championship. So far this year, Cairoli has no wins to his name, which is almost unheard of for the 8-time champion. Can he win here again and ignite his charge for the red plate? This is Valkenswaard. This is the MXGP of Europe.
Philip Engson, number 11, 24 MX Honda.
Tony Cairoli, riding for Red Bull Factory KTM, world champion, and number 222.
It's a nice wide start straight here at Valkenswaard, but very quickly we are on the first left-hander through the chicane. And then back on to the open straight that takes us through this long sweeping left and over the first pyramid jump. On the other side of that, it tightens up through the right and into an even tighter left on the first lap. You normally see 1 or 2 hold-ups through there at the start of the race. Eventually the track opens out through this sweeping right-hander, and then as it veers off to the left, we go through the big, giant rollers. Then we continue through the sweeping left-hander, up and over the Monster Energy step-up jump onto the plateau, through the next left, over a slight crest, and then turning left again, dropping down the first hill. This area will be populated by quite a few spectators. The riders swing through the right, under the bridge. There's a mogul to the inside here. And then we enter 7 waves up and over the top, continuing through the long sweeping left-hander. And the 8th one is a drop-off that leads the riders into this off-cambered left-hand turn. The front end is always going to be pushing out to the right-hand side, so the riders really have to be in control of their motorcycle at that point on the racetrack. Out of the 180-degree hairpin, over a slight rise, through the left and down the back straight. Small jump and then into the Monster Energy double jump, followed by another double jump up into the 180 hairpin turn. A slight change this year. There used to be a small tabletop and some waves down this back straight, but now it's a lot more open, and just 2 single jumps lead the riders into a 90-degree right-hand turn. Again, more open than it was last year. There used to be a series of left and right kinks there. Over the Ippon step down, it's about 25 metres long from point to point, and this is the run-in then towards the finish line area through this right-hander, the final corner. A double-double combination leads the riders over the Dragon's Back. You can triple through here before reaching the Monster Energy finish line jump over the big tabletop. And then we continue through a left-right chicane, opening out again into what is the final turn, and we rejoin on the start straight.
We're now going to bring you part 2 of our Ryan Filippoto interview filmed at the Grand Prix at Trentino. However, because of his crash in race 2, he's decided not to race this weekend, but is hoping to be back in 2 weeks' time for the Grand Prix of Spain. Here's part 2 of getting to know Ryan Filippoto. Ryan, last week we spoke a lot about the sporting aspects of your job, but now we're going to delve a little bit into your psyche and find out what makes you tick. When you're on a bike during a race, what goes through your mind? What are you thinking about?
I guess to start it off, obviously that we all have to line up on a gate, and then there's 40 of us that all have to try to get the whole shot. So at that point, you're you know, hoping and trying to see yourself get the whole shot, and that makes your life a whole lot easier. So it's managing the first lap, you know, because everybody's kind of you know, sprinting that first lap, so there's a lot of chaos going on. And then once we get a little bit more settled in, you're just trying to click off smooth and consistent laps. And biggest thing is not make a mistake, you know, not have a big mistake or a little crash or something where you lose a lot of positions or a lot of time on the guys in front of you.
And that hasn't changed this year? It's always been the same throughout your career?
I wouldn't say it's changed a lot. It's changed a little bit because I've had to adapt to what's here in Europe. You know, definitely the tracks don't promote those first couple laps or the whole moto being to where it's just wide open. And here, obviously a lot of different conditions over here. So sometimes you really have to kind of take it easy, like slower is faster type of thing. So, you know, for me, I've had to, you know, try to learn that, and I think that's a little area where I'm struggling a little bit because I want to go. I'm someone that goes really aggressive, but that's actually hurting me in the long run.
Now, you mentioned that you have to get used to the different tracks, the different racing styles over here in Europe, but at the same time you moved pretty much your whole life to Belgium, didn't you? But have you made it home there, or is it just somewhere to lie your head because you're away so much? Do you feel settled yet?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of grow up, you know, bouncing around and I wouldn't say having a permanent home, you know, because you're always traveling on the weekends and bouncing back and forth. So, yeah, we've settled in there in Belgium, and it's so far the weather's getting nicer and it's getting warmer, and it's not such a bad place. You know, it actually reminds me a lot of where I'm originally from. Yeah,
and so in terms of culture difference, you're not struggling with that or anything, with language?
I think for me, I don't really struggle with that so much. I would say it's more my wife. You know, she has to go to the store and do the shopping and try to figure out what's what, and she's put out in the elements more than I am.
Now, retirement is very difficult to deal with at the best of times, isn't it? So
I don't know yet.
But if you're tackling the World Championship now, if you didn't win the title this year, how difficult would next year be?
That was one of the things that I wanted to come out before we started racing, before any gates had dropped, was that my decision to retire was already made. I feel like that's a decision that kind of needs to be made, I guess on level ground, and not with, oh, well, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I didn't win this year, so I'm going to go again. You know, I wanted that to come out before, and yeah, like I said, I can always change my mind afterwards, but I didn't want that to be the deciding factor. Oh, well, I didn't win, so I have to go do it again.
Thanks, Ryan. It's been great talking to you. Wish you all the best, and we hope to see more wins in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Time to go racing then here at Valkenswaard. About to get underway with MX2, race 1. The gate dropped and away they went as Jeffrey Hurlings in white and gold this weekend in his home race. But to the outside, Ben Watson and Tim Geiser took an early bath as they were launched into the infield pond at turn 1. On board with Valentin Guyot as he was passed there by the 189, the fast starting Brian Borgers. Valentin Guyot working his way down towards 8, but number 41, Pauls Jonas, having 1 or 2 moments of his own. He was lucky to get away with that little misdemeanor, but he wasn't so lucky towards the end of the lap. Got it completely wrong through the rhythm section, and his KTM tossed him aside like a rag doll. He wouldn't rejoin the race. Valentin Guyot went through though as he charged his way up into 7th place, whilst Jordi Tixier, number 1, and Max Anstey, 99, battled over 2nd and 3rd. 51, Jens Getterman on the JTEC Honda was having a great ride as well. Eventually he came home in 12th place, but Guyot on the standing construct Yamaha looking at picking up one of his best rides of the year. The Kawasaki's were coming under pressure from Tonkov, who was fast starting as Max Anstey's Kawasaki started to smoke in the closing stages of the race. Undeterred though, he continued to go after Jordi Tixier, and eventually, with a handful of laps remaining, the Brit was through and into 2nd place, but Jeffrey Hurlings was already too far down the track to do anything about it. Valentin Guyot got it all wrong though with 3 laps to go. He crashed from 7th, remounted, finished in 11th place. 84, Jeffrey Hurlings, the Bullet, was in a class of his own once again and went on to win race 1.
Hi Tony, how are you?
Good, you?
Good. Well, we're round 5 here in Valkenswaard. A lot of riders feel that riding in a sand track like Valkenswaard is quite difficult. You're not one of them. You seem to enjoy it, judging by your results.
Sand, or at least like soft ground, is one of my favorite thing to race on. I born like technically here in Holland and Belgium, so since then I'm training a lot on this kind of soil, so I have a lot of experience in this in the sand, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
6 races now and we haven't seen you on the top step of that podium. Are you getting tired of maybe looking up at people?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's important to get a win, but it's important also to get a good result, and the points are talking on a good way for me. I'm just 1 point behind the leader, so everything is going on the right direction, and we had some work to do, and we still have some, but we are getting better every GP.
Last round in Italy, when you saw Max just take off, took the whole shot, what was going through your mind? Were you thinking, I'm not going to win this, or were you thinking, I'm going to make up time towards the end of the race?
No, actually I say, oh, it's very fast, and I cannot hold on the speed, and I was really surprised, you know, to see him so fast. But I know that he's in a good shape at the moment, and I just couldn't hold on with his speed on the second race, and I say I need to stay on 2 wheels and no crash, and stay on the second position.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Let's see if Tony can get back onto that winning streak in MXGP Race 1.
Gauthier Paulin was the fastest in qualifying 1 week after his teammate was fastest in Italy. Suddenly the Hondas are finding some kind of pace in MXGP. Down the start straight into turn 1. Clement de Sal looked to have got a good jump, but it was Max Nagel on the Red Bull Ice 1 Husqvarna who grabbed the foxhole shot. Tony Cairoli, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, and Gauthier Paulin right in his wheel tracks. Paulin struck first though, finding a way past Cairoli to the inside at the top of the first hill as he went after the German Max Nagel. And then towards the end of the lap, Paulin was through, got good drive through the rhythm section, and in the blink of an eye, the Honda rider was leading the race. Nagel and Cairoli continue to chase down the Frenchman. Cairoli finding his way past Nagel as Romain Febvre crashed out of a top 10 position. Cairoli went on after Paulin. Dessau was a little bit further back in 5th on his Rockstar Energy Suzuki, trying to keep pace with the leading quartet. Tony Cairoli, though, got it wrong. Crashed out of 2nd position spectacularly. This was lap 4. He was very lucky to walk away, but his bike wasn't so lucky. He was unable to rejoin the race, the first DNF for the world champion. Picked up a hand injury in that as well, but no such problems for Gauthier Paulin. Just like he was in qualifying, looking silky smooth. A good performance for the 28 on the Monster Energy Kawasaki of Tyler Rattray, but Sean Simpson eventually found his way through. Simpson going on to take 5th ahead of the South African former world champion. Golden Hoff and Dijker battled over 7th and 8th, as Nagel looked good in 2nd place, but was not able to do anything about Paulin, while Paulin's teammate Bobryshev lucky to escape this little moment in the closing stage of the race, but he did manage to hold on to 3rd. The French fans were out in force though, as Gauthier Paulin romped to victory in race 1 from Nagel and Bobryshev.
Welcome back to the Netherlands. The man on my left is Tommy Searle, back in Red Bull colours and back from injury as well. Tommy, do you think people have perhaps forgotten just how good you really are?
No, I don't know if they forgot. The people that need to know. But yeah, it's about time that I need to come back out and prove it to them and myself. You know, I've had a couple seasons where I've been set back with injury a lot. Really unfortunate things. None of them as such my fault. I had a problem last year at the 2nd race, and then a small injury halfway through the season where I didn't even crash. I just jarred my thumb, and then again this year I had a good preparation and come in and we had the Italian Championship that was really positive, and I got 2nd in that, and yeah, was looking for a great season, and then yeah, I again jarred my hand in Qatar, and then trying to race with that I had a crash in Thailand, so it's been setback after setback, but hopefully now I yeah, can build on what I've got, and it's going to take a couple of races, but soon I hope to be back up the front.
Injuries aside, this year you do seem a lot more rejuvenated, a lot more focused. What would you put that down to?
I think just being around such a positive team. The whole Red Bull KTM Ducati team is an amazing place to be. I stayed down there a lot in Rome all winter with Tony and Ken and Claudio, the team owner, and he's yeah, very supportive. I think he knows a lot what I can do on a bike, and he has a lot of confidence. And also when I was riding down there, you know, I think I showed a lot what I can do on a bike. So he knows, and it's nice to know that someone has the confidence in me, and also willing to give me the time after injury to come back. And yeah, now it's just up to me to build my fitness back up, build my confidence back up, and then get to the front again.
Thanks, Tommy. Now we're going to see if a man that Tommy nearly beat to the title in 2012 can win his home GP. Of course, it's Jeffrey Herlings in MX2 Race 2.
Yeah, race 1 was really bad. So yeah, anyway, finish 11. Try to go for the 2nd race, try to go better. I jump off the gate good. I say I don't close the throttle. I really want to make the whole shot, but Tonkov and Jonas were just in front. Yeah, Jeffrey passed me. I say, oh, I will try to follow him. In my head, I was thinking like, damn, he don't like the pressure from the Swiss chocolate.
I was like, man, why I make this mistake? Because, you know, you're just out there trying to win, and you just said to yourself, stay out of trouble, and then yeah, you went down, and you're like really disappointed yourself. But then at the same moment you try to regroup, you know, and you know, work your tail off and get back to the front, and you know, hopefully win that moto. So at that moment I was pretty disappointed at myself.
In the middle of the moto, I was thinking a bit like, okay, now I don't make the same mistake than the first one. I don't crash, I stay on my wheels, use my legs, don't sit on the bike. It was really, really difficult, sand everywhere, eating sand.
I wanted to be right on his back wheel, so when I would down on the step down, I would be right on his back wheel. I just went behind him, got the turn off, you know, really wheelie the waves, and then, yeah, jumped past him. So it was a clean and good pass.
One moment I saw Dylan inside of me. I was really surprised because I didn't hear him. And he just passed me, then I make mistakes in the wave and I close the throttle and I go really too short in the triple and hit my head on the underbar. I say I don't want to finish 6th. Now I feel good, physically I'm good. I don't want to make mistakes and okay, I can come back on TCA and I give everything. Yeah, maybe I was a bit too late on that.
At one point when I got into the lead, you hear the people screaming and shouting and they're really trying to push you forward. First mode it was like, felt like it got handed over to me, and second mode I really had to fight for it, so that felt good.
Before we get to the final race for the day, let's grab a couple of minutes with Big Ken. Ken, since your podium in Lommel last year, you've had the plate removed from your wrist, haven't you? It's supposed to make things better, but the results don't really back that up yet, do they?
No, not really. I've been just struggling getting confidence back, and just, yeah, everybody's going a little bit faster, and it seems like I need some more time, but I think I'm getting there. Beginning of season, many crashes, but now at least I'm not touching the ground anymore with my body, but the bike and the tires.
Now we're here in Valkenswaard, a sand track. You have a unique way of riding in the sand. You pretty much sit down for most of the lap. Why is that?
It's just harder for me to stand up because I'm quite tall, and yeah, it's more difficult for my legs and everything to get out of the position, always up and down. And yeah, I think it's just my style of riding that I've made during the whole years that I race.
Round 5 now, where's your head at? Do you feel like you've still got it in you?
Yeah, of course I do, otherwise I wouldn't be here, but yeah. Normally I'm not really happy with the results that I'm making now, but now last week I did 9 and 7 and I was like happy. It's just now starting to feel better and better and feel more confident on the bike, and also yeah, needs to be 100% now because everybody's going fast and we have so good rider. But now I'm ready to go, and it's still a long season, so I'm not panicking and just try to relax and do race by race.
Thanks, Ken. Let's see how Ken gets on in MXGP Race 2.
After his stunning performance in Moto number 1, all eyes were on Gauthier Paulin on the number 21 HRC Honda. But it was 461 Romain Fevre, Yamaha Factory Racing, who grabbed the foxhole shot. Bob Rochef was second, Paulin third. But it wasn't long before Paulin was on the move once more. At the end of the first lap, found his way down the inside of the Russian, who just happened to be his teammate, and was into second position, going after Romain Fevre. The pace at the head of the field was just a little bit too hot for Fevre to handle, and he started to drop back. Eventually found himself in 5th place. Paulin went through, then it was Bob Rochef, Nagel, Dessau, all queuing up behind the Frenchman. But he regrouped and was back on the pace, putting in some quick lap times in the second half of the moto. Max Nagel and Clément Dessau battled over second and third, as Tony Cairoli struggled with a hand injury picked up from race 1, struggling for feeling. Couldn't feel anything as Benson went out spectacularly on the 24 MX Honda. He crashed out of 8th place. At the same time, Max Nagel was up into second, and it wasn't long before de Salle moved into third, but he was lucky to escape that little moment. And this was the battle, not just in the race for second and third, but also the top of the leaderboard. But Paulin came home to win in race 2, making it a perfect score. Nagel hung on for second ahead of de Salle, and they were second and third overall in the Grand Prix as well. But Nagel jumped to the top of the championship standings at round 5.
What a day, what a set of races, with Dylan Ferrandis caught in controversy and Jeffrey Hurlings once again proving fallible but still victorious. You would think that MX2 was the place where it's all kicking off. But it's not. With Paulin winning on a Honda in MXGP, another dose of fuel has been poured on the championship fire. I cannot wait for 2 weeks' time for the Grand Prix of Spain.